about the old G division. Okay? And y'all bear with me. And if anybody has any questions while we're going, raise your hand, or we'll answer them afterwards anyway. All right, here we go. Broughton Hospital has always had divisions that separated the patient population by age groups and gender, and at one time by race, as well as the stage of recovery. Over the years, those divisions have been streamlined or even done completely away with. Currently, there are 4 divisions at Broughton Hospital, which is Division A for the adult admissions between 18 and 65, Division S, which is for the youth between the ages of 12 to 18, and deaf patients, and Division M for geriatric patients and medically acute, meaning a hospital and a hospital, which means if you're in the Broughton Hospital and you become sick, they send you to the other hospital inside the hospital. And Division P, which is for rehabilitation and long-term care. There are many different wards. They're still numbered alphabetically, and just as they were from the beginning, they're numbered and alphabetical. I found out that the numbered wards were the male wards and the alphabetical ones were the female wards. So today there's quite a few vacant wards, and these are some of the spookiest wards that you would ever want to pass through late at night. Now, I always work first shift, so I'm going to speak to you as someone who worked on third shift. I did some on the second shift, but most of it was during my 16 years of work at Broughton. Just most of it was night shift. So most staff would walk out of their way to get somewhere rather than pass through an empty ward, and I always did. When I first came to work at Broughton Hospital, I was hired to work in the geriatric or the G division. I worked with many patients who had been there at Broughton all of their lives. Some of them had been dropped off there at a younger age for behaviors that were unacceptable in the community. And then we had those that were actually mentally ill. They were not always easy to care for, but they were endearing to us in many ways. It is easy to get attached to the elderly, at least it is for me. Now, in G division, on the ward, which was for women aged 65 or older, many of the ladies were alert enough to remember your name. They would talk with you, and so in a way you become part of their family. Some of these ladies never even had any visitors. One such lady died unexpectedly one weekend when I was not working, so I heard the sad news when I came back. A few nights passed by and we had gotten over the shock of her death. Everything seemed back to normal. I was in the office when my CNA called my name excitedly. I ran out to find her obviously shaking. She said, "I just saw," and I put Jane Doe, for different reasons we call no one's name. So she just saw Jane Doe go in that room. And I said, "Well, let's go see." And we went into that bedroom and she had seen her go into it, and there was no one awake, no one there. And of course, the patient who died was not there. And then on another night, another CNA told me that she had seen the same patient go into the day room, which was their little living room area, bend over as if she were picking up a book, and then she went right through the wall. Okay, I had never had any sightings on F Ward myself, but I had no reason to doubt these people who reported that they saw Jane Doe, because Broughton was her home, and we figured she simply was not leaving. I talked with the nursing assistant who was assigned F Ward for a short period of time while, as usual, work was being remodeled. One day, he and a fellow staff member were sitting in the hall halfway down at the CNA desk. All of a sudden, he said he noticed a young man peering at him from behind a corner. He described this young person as having dark or curly black hair. He did not look like a ghost, just merely a youngish boy playing games with the staff. A gent working with the CNA, seeing the expression on his face, said, "Did you see it too?" When the first CNA said yes, they both got up and walked down the hall to check it out. There was no one there, and the door was still locked. In the same building, 2 stories up from F Ward, they alphabetize them, so if you count the basement, it would be E, F, E is the basement, F, G, H. H is the top floor. Well, 2 stories up is good old H Ward. That's where I worked there for about 8.5 years there. And we had elderly male patients. And for Broughton, if you were in the G division, that was basically the end of the road at Broughton Hospital, because that's the gero, and we've probably been there all your life. And it's sort of just where you go into. So from that point, patients were either discharged because they were too old to be mean or hurt someone, or they just simply died of old age. One staff member told me at the time when she caught a glimpse of a white or grayish image moving at the end of the hall, near the exit door to the elevator. This image came right through the door and across the hall and went to the room at the end of the hall, which was used as a dining area. So they came straight through the dining room, crossed, and went right on in like they were going for supper or something. Okay. But anyway, so the female staff member thought that her eyes were playing tricks on her. However, she was too scared to investigate. She just told me she didn't even try to look in there. All right. So, all right, another morning on page 4, myself and staff members were getting elderly patients up for breakfast. And as we got them ready, we would just move them up the hall and either take them into the dining room or we would park them in their wheelchairs, like in the hall right there beside the door. And one patient had wheeled himself right up to the door and was sitting out there, kind of in the doorway. Well, about that point, this technician who was down the hall heard footsteps coming. And she looked back to see what it was, and there was no one there. She kept hearing the footsteps. She heard the footsteps walk up the hall, right through the patient sitting in the doorway and into the dining room. And she said that she couldn't leave because she was assigned to those patients, but there was no way that she could get a hold of anyone to let them know what was going on. So she just had to stay with the ones that were in the dining room. And the extra one that walked on up there, really. So from that point, she just sat in there with us until we got up there and told us what happened. I'll skip that a little. We used to work in a building called the Bates Building. That's a scary name in of itself, right? Bates. Well, that's who it's named after. But this happened on Ward 31, which is in the Bates Building. Now, Ward 30 is the downstairs, and we had patients down there, but we had nothing upstairs. It was just empty. Okay. So my nursing supervisor told me this story, and I believe it to be true because I believe everything she told me. All right. She said that one time that she and other people were working down on Ward 30, and they heard an awful commotion upstairs. And it sounded like a scraping noise across the floor as if furniture was being moved around, heavy furniture. But the upper level was unoccupied. So she got some CNAs to go with her upstairs to check it out. And when they got up there, nothing appeared to be moved. I mean, everything was in its spot. There was a row of empty lockers. They had wooden lockers for the patients, and they could move them anywhere. And there was a row of empty lockers against the wall there. And when they opened up the door of one of the closets, the clothes hangers were still swinging. And she said, at that point, they fled, and they notified the Broughton police to come and investigate. And after checking for trespassers, the police reported they could find nothing that caused the noise or the movement of the hangers. All the doors leading into the ward and out the ward were locked. Excuse me, and they require a pass key to get in and have to have a key. So speaking of the Bates Building, I'm sorry, there have been numerous mysterious happenings there. In 1994, this building housed the offices of the G Division supervisors, and it served as a conference room as well. When I first started work there in 1994, that's where my supervisor excuse me. It's a long building that's been extended north and south, and it's got different levels that have been built on as the years went by. And there is a map in the book. If you should get the book, you'll see it. It sits directly across from the Thomas Building, which was wards 27 and east and south, and that's where I first saw my first apparition. So this building sits directly across the street from that. And it means that when I left 27, or my ward where I saw the first ghost, I'd have to walk through a dark parking lot to get to this other building, and it was usually empty. There was no one in this whole building, and I never was really afraid. I've never been afraid to take that trip to sign out. And I never had any problems until one night, and there's my true story, y'all. Okay. After I worked at Broughton Hospital for a couple of years, there was a nurse supervisor who worked for a shift, and she had been brutally murdered by her husband. And she was from Maryland, by the way. She lived with that lady. She was such a sweet lady, and I'd always told her that she was the angel of the unit. Because if you had to call in for any reason, she never gave you a hard time. And it would make you feel less guilty for having to miss work. And from what I understand, she had been in G Division for a long time. And the night that this happened, maybe she came along to check on a few things. So I was sitting in a conference room filling in my time sheet for the upcoming week, in order to get paid for my vacation. Anybody's worked for the state knows you have to fill out your time sheet